Hey, everybody. Mark Mascola here. I see it is right at 8:15 on Thursday, August 26, 2021. This is Powerless To Powerful, the #1 positive side of addiction podcast for men. This is our Powerless To Powerful live edition. We've got a lot of great stuff I want to talk about tonight. But first, before I do, let me welcome, if you're listening, if you're joining us live, whether you're one of our mastermind members or you're a guest, man, welcome. If this is the first time you've been to Powerless to Powerful Live, buckle your seatbelts. Got a lot of stuff. I talk about it all the time, saying, man, sometimes dealing with me is like trying to get a drink of water from a fire hose. I throw out a lot of information. My goal here is to raise percentages of men who realize the rewards of long-term recovery, not only trade being powerless over their addiction, but trade being powerless over their addiction for it being powerless over them and their families. My goal here is to help men become the best and most powerful version of themselves, find a purpose for their recovery, a purpose for their life because of their recovery. I have done that, and if I can do it, you can do it too. So if you're a guest, welcome. If you're listening on one of the podcast networks to a recorded version of this, let me say a great big hello and throw some love your way as well. Man, it's amazing how many. When I look at our podcast stats, how many downloads we're increasing every week. We are reaching men all over the place, hopefully serving a higher purpose. I know that's what God's called me to do. It's what God's called you to do. Be an example of the best level of service you can provide the sick and suffering drug addict or alcoholic. First and foremost is to be one that no longer suffers. Just a couple of disclaimers. Don't take any of this as medical advice. It's not. I may say some stuff that offends you. You'll have to get over that. And that's it. That's about all for the disclaimers. This is a place to show up. If you listen to this in a recorded version on the podcast, obviously it's a mobile-friendly deal. You can listen to it anytime, anywhere. We do this live on Thursday nights, and what we do at the end of the call is I turn off the recording, and men who are part of our mastermind brotherhood and their guests, we have a kind of a live Q&A, comments on kind of what's going on around the topic, and it's pretty cool stuff. So I got a good topic tonight, and the topic for this edition of Powerless to Powerful Live is affirming the 3 selves. And that may sound a little out there. If you're tuning in here for the first couple of times, somebody shared a link with you, you connected with me on social media, and I said, hey, join me on the podcast. You think, what the hell's that got to do with recovery? Well, here's what let me tell you what you're not going to get here. You're not going to get don't drink and go to meetings. You hear enough of that, right? What you're going to hear here is the stuff that you don't hear at meetings. In an hour, a couple times a week, how many times have you heard somebody say, oh, man, went to that meeting, it's just the same old people talking about the same old stuff. That's okay. That's what meetings are set up for. What I offer here is the stuff that you're not going to hear about at meetings. Now, I'm an expert, the little-known science of positive psychology, been studying it for the better part of a couple of decades now, teaching it, coaching it, whatever you want to call it, for a couple of decades now. I learned early on in my journey in recovery. Mine began on July 29th, 1999. I got a sponsor. I went to meetings. I did all the stuff. But my life just wasn't working. My marriage was coming unglued. My business was crumbling into a pile. I was doing all the stuff, but life just wasn't working. And then I ran into some information that changed the course of my life forever. I ran into the science of positive psychology. And psychology as a science has always kind of been focused on what's wrong with us. And positive psychology focuses on our strengths, focuses on the things that are right with us. So when I ran into this, I took off with it. And so all of the things that I, create, and the books that I write and programs that I create, all of the courses that I do, it's all based on this science of positive psychology. It's about discovering, one of the editions that I did a couple of weeks ago on Powerless to Powerful Live was about the two most important relationships that you can have. The first one is with you, and the second one is with God, your higher power. Those are your two most important relationships. I can't be in a great relationship with a woman I love until I am really ready to go through a personal growth for myself, that I'm willing to become the best and most powerful version of me. I can't be the best for her if I'm not the best for me yet, right? And so that's why I became so enamored with this concept of beginning with a purpose, awakening new possibilities, unlocking unlimited potential. So when you hear me talk about the topic, affirming the three selves, you'll hear some of the words that I'm going to use at meetings. Excuse me. But you're not going to get the nuts and bolts about what this is. And let me tell you where you can get it. What I'm going to cover tonight, the topic tonight, affirming the three selves, is actually awakening number 7 of the 7 awakenings that are the introduction version of the Powerless to Powerful field manual and study guide. But if you're listening to past editions of this podcast, and you're listening to current editions of this podcast, and what I'm talking about really inspires you, which I hope it does, and just let me tell you, this isn't about me. I mean, I don't want you to say, look at me, look at me. God just kind of put me on a path and put a message in my heart that I just feel I found a purpose for my recovery and a purpose for my life because of my recovery. And it's to share the information that I found that kind of made the path not near as difficult. Now, I'm not saying it's not hard. I mean, recovery's hard, but instead of sitting around and complaining about all my problems and trying to figure out what was wrong with me, I started discovering what was right with me. I discovered my 5 signature strengths, and I honor my core values, and I understand how to live within the sequence of my personality colors today. And so if what I'm going to talk about tonight inspires you, go to powerlesstopowerful.com, www.powerlesstopowerful.com. If you haven't joined the Powerless to Powerful 2.0 Men's Mastermind yet, what are you waiting for? We created this for busy men who want to strengthen their recovery and supercharge their life because of their recovery. We post videos. I mean, all of this is mobile-friendly stuff. You don't have to have an app to be part of it. You just go sign up, and you'll get an email. You can click on the link, save it to your phone, and if you want some stuff that, again, is going to strengthen your recovery and supercharge your life because of your recovery, just click on the link on your phone, punch in your password, and you'll get to watch videos. You'll get to listen to special podcast stuff like the Q&A session that we'll have at the end of this. There's health and fitness stuff. And it's, again, what are you waiting on? It's just $7 a month. I mean, if you're caught up in this whole concept that everything in recovery ought to be free, let me bust your bubble. It's not. I spent tens of thousands of dollars on books that I've read, programs that I've been through, retreats that I've been on, things that I've done that have supercharged my life. This whole concept of what was freely given to me, I get all that. But there's two levels of service. There's the philanthropic service that we all ought to do. You know, the free, let's make the world a better place. I mean, I do plenty of that. I mean, I send out all kinds of free stuff all the time. You know, I do free action plan sessions. You know, go to www.powerlesstopowerful.com. If you're struggling, click on that thing, and there's a link on that page. Man, let's get together on the phone. Let me see if something, another set of eyes on what you're going through can either help you out of a problem or, again, help you become the best and most powerful version of yourself. Recovery, your life in recovery is not supposed to be you chained to a log that you drag around for the rest of your life. This is supposed to free you. So again, $7 a month, go be part of the 2.0 men's mastermind, and, you know, here's the money back guarantee. If you don't like it, I'll give you your money back, right? www.powerlesstopowerful.com. The money you'll save, and that's what I'm talking about with the Powerless to Powerful Field Manual and Study Guide. I mean, you'll get a chance to buy the digital version of that for $7. I mean, I've discounted everything in there to basically a little more than the price of a cup of coffee. So, all right, that's my commercial. Let's get on with the topic. Again, the topic comes from the Powerless to Powerful Field Manual and Study Guide. It is awakening number 7 of the 7 awakenings that I go through in the book, Affirming the 3 Selves. Affirming the 3 Selves. All right, I don't think it's up for debate, right? We live in challenging times. I mean, have you watched TV at all today? I mean, just click on the news. I mean, wow. I mean, all around us, there just seems to be confusion and uncertainty everywhere. I mean, and you know, we live in this age of political correctness. I mean, don't call a man without getting smacked on the back of the hand. You know, you can't call her a woman. I mean, whatever. I mean, you know, let's get over this. In the age of political correctness, there has always been and will continue to be an attack on masculinity. Both men and women are confused by it. And I can tell you, men who are powerless over their addiction are one of the biggest sources of toxic masculinity. There's one of those political correct words. What I want to help you do is find true God-given, God-inspired masculinity. This masculinity thing, both men and women, I mean, they're confused by it, right? Can't figure it out. Women want to tame it. It can't be tamed. The wild masculinity of a man cannot be tamed. And when I start talking about using things for your benefit or using them for your demise, understanding the use of God-given, God-inspired masculinity in your recovery, because you awaken your heart to the masculine heart of God, that God's calling you to step into that power, your life will change forever. Masculinity in our society, most people view it as, you know, the big tough athlete. That's not it. Masculinity in our society. How many women have you slept with? Guess what? That's not it either. I could care less about that. Men are supposed to guide men. That's why when I talk about being involved in a brotherhood like our 2.0 men's mastermind, I mean, connecting with men who are on the same journey, and I'm talking about a man's journey into understanding true God-given, God-inspired masculinity. You know, right now there seems to be an entire generation of young men that are growing up without a strong masculine presence. Maybe the wrong masculine presence. Maybe there's not a father figure. Maybe there's a toxic father figure who has no guidance of his own. If you're a guy listening to this and your dad was an addict and you were brought up and tough guy dad was what your view of masculinity was, no wonder, right? I mean, you got carried down the wrong road. Make no mistake about it. What the world needs is more powerful men who do powerful things for the right powerful reasons. Masculinity is not your career. It's not how much money you make. It's not the vehicle you drive. It's not your address. It's not your stuff. It's not the women you date. It's not the woman you marry. Right? All that is stuff we're patting ourselves on the back for that our ego creates. We're looking for validation in everything that we do as men. We want to know we make the grade, that we've got what it takes to be a real man. Confused and misguided men search for that validation in all the wrong places. Again, you won't find that masculinity in your career or how much money you make. It's not there. It's not in your stuff. That validation, that true masculine validation, can come from one place. The journey of one man guiding another man to realize that his validation was given him at birth by our Creator. Let me say that again. True masculine validation is the journey of one man guiding another man to realize that his validation was given him at birth by our Creator. You see, what happens with men in recovery, and it's not just a men in addiction issue. Problem is that men confuse their self-image with their self-worth. You know, all men, whether they want to admit it or not, let me put my hand in the air. I've got to work on it every single day. All men have or have had a self-image issue. This is the masculine journey. This is the masculine journey to becoming a godly man. Men, for one reason or another, compare themselves to the results of other men and are discouraged by their own results. Think about that. God only created one unique version of you, yet you're going to compare everything that goes on in your life with somebody else. You did it in your addiction, and you'll do it in your recovery, too. Bottom line is most men just don't like what they see about themselves, right? This is not worth. This is your self-image. This is our egos, our worldly image, the way we want people to see us on our social media profiles. And as addicts and alcoholics, it's things that we want others to believe about us that we don't even believe about ourselves. Let me let that sink in for a minute. So true God-given, God-inspired masculinity, it's a powerful force, and the whole process of this journey, it can be summed up in three simple sentences. So if you're taking notes, you're writing anything down, write this down. True God-given, God-inspired masculinity, the whole process of the journey can be summed up in three sentences. If you don't have anything to write on, you can go to www.powerlesstopowerful.com, be part of the men's mastermind, and you can get this in the membership area. So here are the three simple sentences. You ready? Self-worth, I am. Self-confidence, I can. Self-image, I become. Now say it again. Self-worth, I am. Self-confidence, I can. Self-image, I become. We've all heard the story of Adam and Eve in the Bible, right? God created Adam, He created Eve, and they screwed up, right? God said, don't touch that. You can have it all. Just don't touch that. You know, I had a guy early in my recovery, in my journey, said something to me. He said, you know, your life in recovery, we were having dinner, and he took a salt shaker, and he put it on the table. And he said, you can have anything in the world, just don't touch that. How many don't touch that's do you have in your life, right? How many did you have in your addiction? And even in your recovery, how many things have you done where you knew you weren't supposed to do them, that you did anyway, that made you feel unworthy? Hell, I'll put both hands in the air, right? But here's what you got to understand. Self-worth is a feeling. You feel unworthy because of who you believe you are or what you have done. Let me say that again. You feel unworthy. Self-worth is a feeling. You feel unworthy because of who you believe you are or what you have done. And let me tell you, you know, it's one of those sayings that I repeat over and over and over. The majority of men never realize the long-term rewards of recovery because they never quit defining themselves by their problems. I'm Mark. I'm just this addict. I got this disease. Got all these problems. Powerless. Yeah, guess what? I'll say what I always say because I'm one of the men who's willing to say it, where most men aren't. And it's why I ruffle so many feathers in the recovery community. It's not in my nature to be powerless, and it's not in yours either. The first step says powerless over my addiction, does not say powerless over my life. Self-worth is a feeling. You feel unworthy because of who you believe you are. Understand this, addiction is not who you are. It is what you did. Right now in the membership area of the mastermind group, there's a video called Labels that I created about the labels that we as men use about ourselves. Addiction is not who you are, it's what you did. Your decisions become your actions become your habits become your lifestyle. Decisions, actions, habits, and lifestyle create your collection of beliefs. Definition of the word belief, right? An acceptance that something is true. And I'll say, like I always do, whether it is or not. An addictive belief system stems from addictive decisions, right? One of those sayings that I hate. No good deed goes unpunished. Well, that's not true. Make good decisions, good things happen. They just may take a little longer. Make bad decisions, make bad addictive decisions, and you're going to get bad addictive consequences. Take personal responsibility for that. When I talk about an addictive belief system stems from addictive decisions, and for some men, their belief system keeps them stuck in the deadly circle of addiction. When I talk about I am, I can, right? How many guys say, I just can't do this? Well, yeah, you can. You just need to surround yourself with some men who help you believe you can. Why? Because they did. If I can, you can. If they did, you can. The first step to fixing this is to accept the fact that your worthiness is not up to you. Men mistake their worth with their image. They say they have a low self-worth because of their addiction. But what they've done is they've created a false image of themselves that they believe is real. Definition of beliefs again, right? The acceptance that something is true. What have you accepted in addiction? What have you accepted about your life in recovery? Acceptance that something exists or is true. And I'm going to tell you whether it is or not. Most men are accepting things in their addiction and accepting things in their recovery that create a false image of who they are. Well, I'm just this addict. I got this disease. I'm powerless. On the fifth day, God created the masculine soul of a man, and it pleased God. He said it was good. So when I say that our self-worth, your self-worth is not up to you, that's what I mean. You were created worthy. That was God's decision. I mean, it says in the Bible, on the fifth day, God created the masculine soul of a man. He said it was good, and it pleased him. You were created worthy. This was God's decision. Grace is defined as the unmerited favor of God. We hear that word thrown around all the time in recovery, the word grace. Nobody ever really defines it. Grace is the unmerited favor of God. It means you didn't have to do anything for him to deem you worthy. Other than what? You have to learn how to accept it. Affirming self, number one, your self-worth, means that you have accepted the unmerited favor of God. Nothing you did or will ever do can undo that. The Great Awakening of the masculine soul begins with you accepting and affirming your worthiness. When I talk about going from powerless to powerful, that's what I'm talking about. The Great Awakening of the masculine soul begins with you accepting and affirming your worthiness. You were created worthy because that was God's choice, the unmerited favor of God. And remember, your decisions are the creators of your belief. What is the definition of a decision, right? To cut off all other options. Your self-confidence, now we're going to talk about self number two. Your self-confidence comes from your decisions. Remember back to what I just said. Decisions become actions, actions become habits, habits become lifestyle. Most guys can't accept their worth and have a screwed up self-confidence and self-image for one thing, based on the damn decisions that they make. You know better and you do it anyway. Decisions are the creators of your beliefs. Self-confidence comes from your decisions. Decisions become actions, become habits, become lifestyle. So let me ask you a question. What decision have you made about your recovery? If the definition of decision is to cut off all other options, I made a decision on July 29th, 1999. And I've remained true to that decision. Has it been easy? Absolutely not. Divorce, bankruptcy, cancer, floods, death of loved ones. So what decision have you made about your recovery? I mean, are you courageous about it? What does courageous mean? Courageous means I'm willing to get into action. Are you consistent? Meaning not every once in a while, not meaning not when it's convenient, only when you feel like it. I mean, are you committed? And what are you waiting on? Until one is, I'm going to go, this is like my favorite quote of all times. And it is all about this, the power of the word decision. So I'm talking about awakening number 7, the affirmation of the 3 selves. But this quote I put in awakening number 5 when I talk about the 5 pillars in the field manual and study guide. So here we go. This quote is from William Hutchison Murray. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans, that the moment one commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance which no man could have dreamt would have come his way. Whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. So what does that mean? It's the answer to the question, what are you waiting on? If you're waiting on God, let me tell you, just like it says in that quote, that the moment one commits oneself, then providence moves too. That means God's waiting on you to make a decision. And what will happen? All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events, issues from the decision raising in one's favor, all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance, which no man could have dreamt would come his way. Make the decision, right? No one else can do this for you. And then surround yourself with men who can help you be courageous enough to affirm, I can. That's the whole self-confidence thing. Why? Because they did. And again, just like I said a minute ago, if they can do it, you can do it. So once you affirm this self-worth, I am, you affirm your self-confidence, I can, you begin building the positive, powerful self-image in the likeness of the most powerful one that created you. That, my brother, is the journey from powerless to powerful. Self-image, I become. It's not easy. It's not convenient. It's not the road less traveled. Let me say that again. It's not easy. It's not convenient. It is the road less traveled. It's not for men who need it or want it. It's for men who get off their ass and do it. It's for men who want to be the spiritual leaders in their families. Men need to be the spiritual leaders in their families. We need powerful men who are powerful husbands, fathers, businessmen. We need men who are willing to do more, to become more, to have more, to serve more. I am, I can, I become. Self-worth, self-confidence, self-image. That's what I'm talking about. Awaken in yourself God-given, God-inspired, true masculinity, and then help another man find that in himself. And again, this message, it's not mine. It's not yours. It's God's message working in us, for us, with us, and through us. And remember, you cannot give away what you don't have. God gave you an opportunity to accept your self-worth. He gives you an opportunity to overcome fear and courageously and confidently do the right things. He gives you an opportunity to become a more powerful version of you in the most powerful image of Him. So, there we go. Again, drinking water from a fire hose, right? I mean, that's a lot of information. So again, affirming the three selves was the topic. Self-worth, I am. Your worthiness is not up to you. You have to accept it. Self-confidence, I can. You got to make good decisions. and self-image I become. You were created to become the most powerful version of you in the most powerful image of Him. So again, what are you waiting on? Go join the Powerless to Powerful 2.0 Men's Mastermind. Go to www.powerlesstopowerful.com. We created this thing for busy men. Lots of stuff in there, mobile-friendly audios, videos, podcasts, just so much kick-ass stuff. Go over there and be part of the brotherhood. Love for you to do it, because we'd love to feature your story. You know, also something else you'll find in there, you'll find a group listing of men who will give you their phone number, their email address to connect, talk successful recovery, successful life because of recovery. So again, find out all that information at www.powerlesstopowerful.com. This is the number one positive side of addiction podcast for men. And we call this Powerless to Powerful Live. So we sure appreciate you being here. This is Mark Mascola. Again, signing off from the number one positive side of addiction podcast for men. Powerless to Powerful. Go out and be powerful in all you do. We'll turn this recording off. We're going to have a great Q&A and comment session. Members and guests, we'll see you on the other side. If you are listening to a recorded version of this, one of the podcast networks, get your butt over www.powerlessthepowerful.com. Join us, and you can be part of the conversation next time as well. Have a great day. Wherever you are in the world, you absolutely deserve it. Mark Mascola signing off from Tin Cup Farms in Clifton, Tennessee. See ya.